It all started, well, really for International Women's Day, and I wanted to do something to bring together the community of women in Hackney who either run their own businesses, work in businesses, or are looking to sort of start something new. I've been freelance for about 3-4 years now. That's another story. All these ladies are smiling because I met quite a lot of them at a place called the Google campus. So the Google campus used to, or does it still do? Do they still do the breakfast?
Yeah, they're just back from a renovation now, but yeah, start to.
Okay, yeah. So the Google campus, they used to put on this amazing women's networking breakfast event that for quite a few months I would go to whilst I was thinking about quitting my job at a creative agency. And it was just, I found it so inspiring and so empowering to meet other women who had either started something themselves or in a similar position to me. That sort of solidarity of, sisters being together, helping each other was really, really inspiring for me, which is kind of where this is born from, because I'm now 3 years into my freelance journey. So I am a brand stylist and content creator. Depending on like what industry you come from, that means different things. So for example, I would work with like a new startup to help them find their vision, voice and values, but really look at the person sort of holistically. I do quite a lot of meditations with my clients to help them think about what it is they really want to do from the heart, and then from there we start to design the branding and then go into the content and marketing. So yeah, that's kind of my package. And I work for female conscious creators who are ready to rise and thrive in business, which I'm sure all of you are, and that's why you're here. And the Curious & Co, which is something that I set up to as a sort of overarching banner for what I do. So I love collaboration, and I know so many amazing women in so many different fields that a way that that enables me to work with them is to work with them through the Curious & Co, which is a feel-good studio that helps people connect their intrepid explorer inside. So whether that be through a meditation workshop or like an art workshop, coming to something like this. So I've got quite a few things coming up over the next the next year or the next 8 months. So retreats, events, festivals. So if you guys are on the mailing list, then you'll get all of that information. And also we're going to be doing a Facebook group for this event in particular, because last month what happened was everyone got together and then they left, and a few connections were made, and there's a few women in this room who are now working together from that. But what I wanted everyone to do is go onto this Facebook group. I'll give you the link in a bit, so you can all carry on that conversation, and if someone needs a graphic designer and someone needs a web designer, you can all kind of connect that way. And who are all these lovely people sat behind me? So we have Yanna here. She is our speaker for today. She is a dancer, a poet and a photographer. I don't know which order to do it in. I mean, she's got all of the superpowers. And she's going to be telling us her story in a little bit. We have Mariko, who I met at the Google campus like 3 years ago or something, who's kind of, we've always stayed in touch, and we've been on a bit of a journey together, haven't we? Yeah. So, and then we have I'm just talking about you like a friend. She does have a business as well. Then we've got Chloe, who runs Nibs ETC. She's going to tell us a little bit about her in a bit. We also met at the Google campus. We only just realised today. And then this is Paula. Now Paula is an accountant, and she works with creatives. She also helps people with business advice. They have really good links with Hackney Dance Studios, and you guys have done workshops and stuff, haven't you, to help people sort of like intro into accountancy. So yeah, so could you just tell me a little bit about what each of you does? Just a little short snippet.
Not so fast.
Ready?
So I'm a brand strategist. I have a little consultancy called National for Brands. I'm also an arts manager. That's what I trained as, and I'm currently also embracing my plant ladiness. Yeah. So,
Hi. That was a big round. Maybe I shouldn't talk, I don't know. So I founded Nibs Etc. with a mission to fight food waste. So we make delicious snacks out of ingredients that normally get thrown away, enabling ourselves but also our customers to reduce their carbon footprint in so doing. We stock our granola at Megan's fantastic refill restore next door.
It's amazing.
It is fantastic. You should all check it out afterwards. And we also sell at Borough twice weekly.
Mine's really boring. So I work for accountants. We specialise in small creative businesses doing everything from startup, business advice, and we take you through each stage to get you to where you want to be. So it's finding out who you are, where your goals are, not just the traditional accountancy of head down doing figures. Anyone can do that. That's not what it's about, and it's about learning how we can help you get to where you want to be.
Amazing, thank you. So I'm going to open up the next presentation. Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the floor?
I'm coming up.
So you just
I wanna let you go.
you're just clicking down this little.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hiding it.
Got it?
I'm hiding it. Hi. Yeah. So it's ready. Hi. How are you? How are you feeling this morning? My mom was really concerned about the fact that I woke up early. I always wake up early, but she said, "Are you gonna get hungry soon?" That makes sense, Mom. Hi everyone, really glad to see you here, and it's really great to be in spaces where we are with co-minders, and I guess it kind of empowers each one of us on our journeys. So I hope you enjoy yourself today. My name is Yanna, as Emma said, and thank you. By the way, can we just give a big applause for Emma for organizing all of this? Bringing all of us together is great. So, yeah, I'm a photographer, dancer, and a poet, and I will start with a few poems, and I hope you find something in them that will spark something inside of you today. All of them are poems that I've written. I'm currently working on the book, but it's a lot of pressure. So, yeah. They're short with very kind of, I believe so, deep messages, so please. I just wanted you to know that you are the sun. The sun as well needs to refill its light at night and be born again on a new morning. That's it. It's really short. Did you find your message in it? And a new day comes, and I say, I don't have a right to skip a smile today, because now that a new day has come, I know that today it is a wonderful day simply because I am alive. The most exciting discovery I have ever done was myself. When I found me, I knew I would never be alone again. Fear, it is the most groundless limitation one can force on himself. For that, you are the definition of freedom. Did you know you are as worthy as you decide you are? Did you know you are as beautiful as you decide you are? I hope I've been clear with like this, the passes in between one poem to another. It was clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is a last little cute one. God has hidden the happiness inside of us, knowing it would be the last place we would search for it. Leaving you thoughtful in here, and I'm out.
Mic drop.
So, I really wanted to open with these poems because I think they are short and brief, but they deliver a few really deep messages that are really concerning me, and these are things that I'm really happy that through hard times I found a way to express them through those poems. And that's my life motto: all obstacles are illusions. I went through ridiculously, sometimes hard obstacles, but I found, when I discovered this, and actually I discovered this in Hebrew, and I kind of translated it, it became my motto. And I started believing it so much that it even became my password to my laptop. So every day when I started, I was like, oh, obstacles are illusions. And then the screensaver says, try one more time. And then different people in co-working spaces are always like, so what is it that you're trying one more time? Bro, what do you mean? Just try one more time. Whatever you're doing, you gotta try one more time. If you're failing, you gotta try one more time. That's what I mean. Okay. So, my name is Yanna. I was born in a place called Dagestan. I always like this reference. So Drake's mom, she was born. She was born in Uzbekistan, which is a republic in the south of Russia as well. So yeah, because people don't really know where Dagestan is, right? So I come from a Sephardi Jewish. Oh yeah, go ahead, Emma. Thank you. I come from a Sephardi Jewish family. And it's pretty much a non-very developed area back there, you know, not really much to do. And when I was 6 years old, we moved to Israel, because that's what Jewish families believe they have to do, right? Let's go to the Holy Land. So we moved, and my mom, after a year, realized that this country has got a few issues. And I'm an only child, so she was like, you're not going to the military, honey. And I said, but all my friends are going, what am I supposed to do? And I was always having this sort of, I really want to do something very meaningful for really kind of humanitarian. I was always talking about Africa since I was 6 years old. The only Africans around me there is Ethiopians, and they're just really close in their circles, and you know, it's not really like London or any metropolis city. And a year after we moved to Israel, my mom's cousin died in one of the operations in the military, and that completely flipped her around. So when I was 18, she comes to me, and my mom was a very Soviet controlling mom. It took a lot of time to kind of break a lot of like, Mom, I am my own self. So it took me many years to kind of take myself from underneath that shield of whatever she wanted me to be and be me. But that's a whole other story. And then when I was 18, she said, honey, you're moving to Moscow. What do you mean? Yeah, you're moving to Moscow, you're going to study in a university there. But Mom, I mean, I'm from a small city in Israel, you know, I mean, I love everyone, I'm gonna go to the military, you know, do that kind of stuff that everybody does. No, you're going to move there and study law there. In Russian, law. So, just for you to understand, I grew up in a small city called Khadera. So basically, all of the people that lived in Dagestan, they moved to Khadera. So, it's pretty much whatever was there, just continues there. And, you know, you don't really go that much to places. I mean, you grew up quite aware of a lot of the environments in the world, and Israel, you know, is a tech nation, everything is very developed and kind of democratic. But still, it's not a huge place. So I finished school, and a week after, I was on a plane to Moscow. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of things that I've learned here, but people were constantly touching my hair and just asking me. I didn't know, you know, these are things that I discovered only when here I dived into the black communities and, you know, being around women of color, and I realized that those things were not okay. And one day I came to the cloakroom, and my cousin left a bag for me, and then the cloakroom lady said, oh, she said that the girl with the messy hair is going to come. The girl with the messy hair. I thought, my hair is nice, no? So I was constantly this, you know, and I barely spoke any Russian, but I entered university as a foreigner, and I was the only foreigner there, really. There was one Korean guy, and I studied law in Russia. It's Russia's best law university. It's very fancy. You have fancy kids that get like $500 to just spend on a coffee every day, you know, just whatever they want. And I would get funny questions like, so do you do your groceries by yourself? My mom flies every Friday and she takes me to the groceries. What do you mean? So there was a lot to discover, but it wasn't the hard way. Well, I did graduate Moscow State Law Academy, studied law and languages there, but for many years I felt like something is not right here. There were creative beginnings that I didn't know what to do with. And after some time there, after 2 years, I discovered a Jewish community, which became a little bit more closer to me, and it kind of became my home. It was a secular student kind of organization that it was kind of my place to be. But there was one cute thing that was the military in Israel, which was still hanging like a little shade on top of my head. So because my parents were really against my serving, when I was in my, basically the military closed my case for lack of corroboration. Military is obligatory in Israel, and women have to serve for 2 years, mine for 3 years. And because I kind of went to study abroad, nobody liked that idea, because what are you doing developing your life when your comrades are serving for the country? So when I was in my 3rd year, it was the first time that I went to Israel, because I knew that I might have really difficult encountering with that. After sending them many letters, and they kind of blocked my case and it was closed, so I was kind of not really welcome in the country unless I'm going to go to jail. So as a very active person in the Jewish community and in general, just kind of supporting everything that's happening in Israel and like connecting young Jewish people in Israel and Moscow, we arrived on a trip. It was my 4th year in university, and I'm get arrested in the airport. So it was quite a huge trip with kind of young Jewish activists from all over the world. And then this soldier comes to pick me up and says to my friend, she's coming with us. And my friends are really stressed because they don't really know Israel like that. And then this soldier is so handsome, and I said, don't worry, I'm fine going with him. I don't really mind. And I had my lipstick done and my nails was done, and then I get to the military, and the officer says, why do you have your laptop and your nails done in jail? I just come from uni in Moscow. So she hated me more, but it's fine. Eventually I was judged for 3 months, because I was a deserter from the military. For every year you get a month. So they gave me wonderful 3 months in military jail, and it was a huge protest in the Jewish community, in the young community, because I was quite an active ambassador for young Jewish students and connecting and kind of creating events and workshops, and they arrest somebody like that. So for them it was a bit of a, what are you doing? So there was a lot of letters coming up from big organizations that are active in the Jewish community. Eventually they cut off 1 month, so I was there for 49 days, which is not too bad, and then kind of creates a story, intimidates the wrong guys, so it's fine. Especially, when I found out if you go on a date and you tell them that you want a Guinness, they don't know what to do, because it's the strongest beer, right? And then it's like, oh, what shall I go for? Yeah. Try that. Just a random one. Well, after serving in jail, I went back to uni and finished all of that, but obviously everybody kind of looks at you different, because, wow, that's quite a story. And I guess that's the system, but today I'm really glad that all of that happened, because as a young kid, obviously I didn't understand as much, and as a person that is very oriented towards humanitarian work and very connected with many international kind of arenas and platforms, this is not something that I would have liked to be a part of. So it just happened this way. I went back to uni, finished university, and then my mom's plan B came. You gotta marry a rich Jewish guy. I said, Mom, you promised that it's only gonna be uni and that it's not gonna be a rich Jewish guy, can I just move on? Well, there wasn't an understanding of who am I, but I knew that something is wrong. So I said, my mom moved to Moscow at that stage, because, she gotta make sure I'm marrying the right guy. So I kind of left, tried to go back to Israel, and it wasn't really anymore a place that is right for me. And 2 months after being there, really feeling disconnected, I got a job to move to Singapore. So I moved to Singapore for a year, and I felt even more lost, because now I know, oh my God, the world has got so much more to it. And you learn about things from different perspectives, and growing up in Israel, now I would meet people telling me, I'm from Palestine, and I'll be like, is that the same country I grew up in? We gotta talk about this. So it really opened a lot of things and understanding of how divided we really are, And I knew that I have to keep going, and I always had this understanding that there was something that I came here to do, and I just have to keep on finding it. Next up was Indonesia, so I was just went to Bali and found a little house and lived there for a month and just wondered a lot, and just didn't really find any answers at that point, but I just kept moving. Then I went back to Israel and I thought, what am I going to do next? And that same company that hired me in Singapore, they said, oh, you can go to Hong Kong and we're going to get you this visa for a year and you're going to be fine. I'm not going to Hong Kong, man. I said, do you have something like near, short term, no commitment, something close, you can go to London for a temporary contract if you want, but we can't guarantee you any long-term stuff, but it's fine. So that's how I arrived to London. It's going to be 5 years in September, but from the moment I arrived, I was like, okay, this looks like home. Now, how am I going to make this a home? With all the bureaucratical subjects of visas and struggles, and I didn't know that I'm about to enter a very long journey of endless job offers, companies that are giving you a slap in the face, not wanting to sponsor your visa because that's way much of a hustle, and slowly kept on holding into this, that all obstacles are illusions, and always knowing that whatever I was doing, this was not right for me, and as long as it feels right, I'm going to keep on going. And slowly I've grown into discovering my own creativity. So about a year ago, I started documenting people. Do I just press enter? Oh, down. Thank you, Yanna. This was kind of one of my mantras, having my clear vision. And the vision was clear. There was always, one talk that I was listening to, they said, you are what you think about when you make your bed in the morning. And I realized that there's certain things that I always have in my mind, that I've realized that I speak so many languages, so I can reach out to so many people with the messages that I have internally, because when you speak to a person in their language, they hear you better. But I've learned that in the dark spaces, just keep on going, so I did. And about a year ago, this is about when I started discovering my creative side, I started documenting people on the streets. It was a little protest towards racism in the background where I came from, and I called the project My Eyes See Diversity. I had no camera, I had no nothing, I was just photographing on my phone, and I kept on walking down the streets, and I was always really passionate about Hackney and Shoreditch. Everybody calls me a Shoreditch girl, because I'm just always around, just browsing around, and never really had, for many years, my own circle or, regular kind of friends, so I would just walk around and kind of get to know everyone, and take pictures of random people and write short captions about this. And I think it's really about embracing the uncertainty, so I did. And I knew that I don't want to go, and I said to myself, what am I doing from here? I knew that going back, it just doesn't feel right, because there is no point in the existence of myself and any taking steps back. So I said, I'm just going to continue and see where it takes me. Then this gallery approaches me, and they're like, oh, we really like your portraits. And I said, you really like my portraits, really? And I was just taking them on the phone, I didn't have a camera. And then they wanted 5,000 per week to exhibit it. I said, speak to you later. And I thought, hold a second, I know everyone, I should talk to people. Well, I managed to fundraise, get a space, and I did my first exhibition. It was last summer, I had 200 people coming, and then after that there was a second exhibition that was curated together with the Google campus for Black History Month. And slowly I have discovered more and more, and there was clarity in what I'm actually doing, and I discovered that as a person who always wanted to work towards raising awareness towards race and gender equality, I thought, I should work for the United Nations or the Red Cross, so I used to apply a lot, because I have a law degree, I speak so many languages. Am I not the perfect candidate? No. Because I was sending 50 CVs a day for a year and nobody replied. So I guess no. And I've uncovered my creativity, and it led me to uncovering myself. And I've realized that my resilience and my persistence and my honest belief in what I truly want inside is what led me to finding me. And it's embracing this uncertainty and putting the fear aside, because very often there is a quote that I really like. It says, very often we leave our own power because we believe that we don't have any. And about 3 months ago, I was like, okay, where am I going with this? And then my friend comes and says, why don't you apply for the Tier 1 Exceptional Talent Visa? I said, what? I mean, I'm talented, thank you, but exceptional talent, thank you. And it's basically a type of visa that is given based on your creativity or any kind of sphere. So if you're in tech, you can, provide a package that says, why are you bringing value to the industry in tech? If you're in science, if you're in arts, etc. So, and I found out that I tick all the boxes. And I thought, wow, through that hard journey, it has led me to, the universe always has got something better stored for you. But I just kept on thinking, oh, some company, can you please sponsor me? No. I can sponsor myself. I can stand for myself. But I had to go through a very hard journey to find it.
I want to clap there, sorry. That's amazing. You can sponsor yourself.
Thank you. And I managed to create this incredible, application, and my work was published in 10 publications in the past month. I was featured in the Evening Standard, and the funny thing that it went into the application as well, and very ironic. So we're on the main page, and then it says Future London, and I'm like, give me a visa. But I don't think the immigration officers have any choice whatsoever with me standing there in the middle and being like Future London. That's the story. We're waiting for this one, by the way. It's submitted and it's about to be like returned any day, literally. But what I've learned is that preparation and response is all we control. All I could do is make sure that I've done my best. And from there on, I'm gonna let the universe, be in charge of it. My task is not to be scared. My task is to do everything I can do in a given moment. And there's a very cute poem that I like by Rumi that says, in your darkest moment, wait with no fear. And I'm just gonna go and see what I have here. I didn't get to that. I didn't get that. But
we need a presentation order.
Yes. I do want to finish with this page. And I said, just give it little points so they can take away something. This is probably my kind of, I don't know, to live by. And I really want all of you to walk away today with truly knowing that everything that you need is already inside of you. Have faith in your journey, and don't wait for the sun to shine bright, because in this country it doesn't really shine bright. But learn to dance in the rain, because every day is a gift, and practice self-love even if you fail. And one of my best friend's husbands once said a couple of years ago, he was like, what is going on with Yanna? She always has faith at the last moment, and she thinks that miracles happen. And then my friend said, oh, but miracles do happen to her. Because miracles do exist, so believe in them. And yeah, stay blessed. I'm gonna allow myself.
Make your way over to the...
I will.
How amazing was that? Oh, wow. I'm like... So cool. Okay, so we're going to talk about money. I'm not going to go too much in depth about my personal money story. Just know that probably like everyone, I've had lots of ups and downs, but since realising that the story that I told myself about money was actually somebody else's story that has been sort of passed down through generations and has been something that I've picked up from sort of social conditioning, that once I realised that, I was able to rewrite my story, and now things are flowing a little better. So on that, I am going to ask you beautiful ladies, to tell your personal money stories. They can be personal or sort of business orientated. We can start with Paula and then sort of go down this way, and then I've got a little list of questions that I'm going to ask you. Some are sort of money orientated, others are more emotional, spiritual.
Oh, too emotional. Morning everyone. Right, I really can't follow Yanna at all. But I work within the business industry. I work for accountants. I spend a lot of time with small businesses, guiding them to what they want to achieve. And from a personal point of view, or from a business point of view, I will always sit with somebody on the start of their journey and say, what's your goal? What I didn't realise was I hadn't actually asked myself the same goal. So a little bit of back history on me. Firstly, we promote relationship. You can only work with someone in a professional capacity if you have a relationship with them. You're not going to trust anybody you don't know. So we always, weirdly, meet clients, potential clients, and the first question we ask them is, tell me about you. Not the business, we want to know about you. What's your story? Where do you come from? What is it that makes you you? Why did you start your business? So on that basis, I'm going to give you a little bit of back history of me, because that's where a relationship starts. So I was a 19-year-old girl from Southend, a Jewish girl from Southend, who was told by her overbearing, controlling Jewish mother that she had to marry a nice Jewish boy. I did. I obeyed everything, and consequently went on to have a very happy 21-year marriage with 3 children and not much of a career. I went back to work after 9 years off. Unusual now, but when I had my children, that was the norm. Found myself in a weird position. Went for an interview. Turned out I knew the boss from a friend through a friend. And my interview consisted of, hello, oh my God, it's you. How are you? How are your mum and dad? And when can you start? He then proceeded to say to me, the job is actually audio typing. Can you do audio typing? And very quickly I went, yeah. I have no clue what audio typing is. They were given a contraption. I didn't know what it did. I didn't know it worked with your feet. And I was then left for 3 days. Took me 2 days to type 1 letter, which then got screwed up and whatever. So they gave me another job. He very quickly worked out I'd lied, but I had to fit it in quite well with the company. I'd also undressed him on a very drunk night out when we were 19, and I knew too much. So he kept me in the job, and from then on I went to work with their clients. It was an accountancy firm doing debt management. So clients who couldn't pay their bills, didn't know where they were going with their money, were working hard but not getting very far. And I trained really hard. I did internal finance, credit control and debt management. But never looked at my own situation. Fast forward a few years, marriage went horribly wrong, although he is now my best friend. 3 children, perfectly formed and very clever. And my son went to university, and I actually realised that my life had then changed and everything else. We got divorced. I met a very nice non-Jewish man, and my life took a weird turn. I all of a sudden became very conscious of me and who I was, and I could be independent, and the job that I'd held for 14 years and loved going into work every day was a job. It wasn't really a career. I wasn't really doing much, and I wasn't going anywhere. My new husband really, really persuaded me then to move forward a little bit. So fast forward a little bit longer, I went to work for Norden's, and my interview there consisted of, do you like that desk? We'll find you a job, but don't know what it's going to be. And from then on, myself and my boss, who is Mark Norden, who set the company up, now run a really, really successful accountancy practice. But I took the turn of doing small business. So I work with small creative businesses. I work really hard with Eat Work Art here, and we come and do mentoring stuff with them. Now that's great. I can give you advice every day on how to run a business, but I didn't know my own business. I had no clue about me. So after my divorce, I sold my house. I went to rent a house, which was no problem. Met my now husband, and he moved into our rented house. Now everyone else meets their second husband who's wealthy, he's got property, he's got whatever. I meet a man who turns up on my doorstep with a suitcase. Nothing. So everything that we've created now is through a lot of hard work and actually listening to people and taking some advice. Last year, we went to the Ideal Home exhibition and my husband said to me, oh, I supply that, oh, I do this, oh, I do that, but we're in a rented house and we can't do anything. So off the cuff, I just went, well, why don't we have our own house then? So it was like, well, I don't really know. He comes with a whole lot of back history and getting a house was a little bit harder with a mortgage than we thought. What actually happened was I always pay my bills on time. I'm employed, so I have a regular income coming in. Never had debt, I'm in no trouble at all. But my parents instilled in me from when I was very young, you save your money. You save your Christmas money, you save your birthday money. I worked from quite an early age. My parents owned a shop, and that was my spending money, but everything else went away. You don't have anything you can't afford, you live within your means, and all those cliched words. Perfect. Except when you come to look for a mortgage. I didn't have any credit history at all, so I don't exist. So you go to look for a mortgage. I work for an accountancy firm. I talk to people about money every day, and I got turned down flat. And the reason was that I have no history. So my advice now, and this is obviously my personal story, is save money, spend money, live. My 22-year-old clever daughter actually said to me, banks don't hold memories. She's sort of, I get what she's saying. So spend the money. No one's saying save every penny. Save some, live some, and actually goes against everything I was brought up with, was look at taking out a little bit of credit, because when you least expect it or your circumstances change, you may want to do something that involves mortgages or finance of some sort, business and personal. So just make sure that you protect yourself each way. And I'm now very happily living in my new house by the sea. It takes me an age to get into work, but hey, I've got my own house.
It's so powerful to hear other people's stories. I wish like every single person in the room could share, because I think it really helps. Who's next? Who wants to go next?
I'll go next, I guess. Next in line. So hi again, Chloe, as a reminder. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about my personal story as well, so it kind of puts things a bit more in perspective. So I was born in London to a Swiss mum and a Eurasian dad, bit of a mix. I grew up between UK, London, Switzerland and China. My dad is half Chinese, grew up in Hong Kong, and decided that he wanted his family and his daughters to experience what Hong Kong was when he grew up in Beijing, which was kind of seemed to be following a similar path those many years later. It was a fantastic, absolutely incredible experience. And then I went and studied in the States. I went to a business school in Boston called Babson College. And so what we were taught there, I did so many group projects about creating sort of financial plans, business models, feasibility projects, which was all very interesting, and turns out, those few years later, to be a very useful thing to have studied. But then I went on to work for, while everyone was going to work in finance or consulting, I had always had this thing about food, and I had baked since I could reach the counter. This picture of me, probably like a year old, with chocolate all over my face and my mum's arms. So I've always loved food, and I went to work for a chocolate company. I kind of followed, I guess, this sort of inner yearning to be involved, hands-on in food. Visa issues, had to leave America, couldn't stay, so left that whole life behind and found myself back in Switzerland. My parents had moved back from China, and I was living at home again, and I had also saved quite a lot, because similarly I was brought up in a way where, don't buy what you don't need. And I guess that makes me quite frugal, which has also probably in part impacted me in the way that I think about food and food waste. So I always use what I've got, and I don't buy what I don't need, and I try and make the most out of what's in my fridge and my pantry, and try and make that go as far as possible. And I guess I've only realised this in looking back, and what impacted my sort of, how I got to this low waste or fighting food waste journey. All this to say, moving back home was sort of a bit of an existential quarter-life crisis moment. I don't know how many in here are familiar with that. It seems to never end once it starts. But I was cooking a lot, and I guess with my saved money, I managed to I was doing a couple of trips to explore what was going on in food in Europe. I got to a very low point, sort of 4 months after moving back, really. To the point where you're sort of wondering why you're getting up and out of bed in the morning and wanting to stay in bed all day, what's really the point. And I had a friend travelling through Morocco, and she was from New York, and she told me, months in advance that she was going to be there. And everyone around me said, don't go. It's not safe for women, it's not, just don't go. With 2 weeks, bearing in mind my family is a family of planners, particularly my dad, everything was always planned. And so was I. My life, things had to be planned, and I felt I had to plan everything. And this sort of goes back to what you were saying about following your gut and just going with, where the universe takes you. And with a week and a half before going, I decided I was going to go. So I bought my ticket, didn't know where I was going. My friend sent me all the details, and I just went with it. And from that point onwards, I think it really taught me that you don't have to plan everything, which went against everything the business school taught you about forecasting and financial planning 10 years down the line. But I just went, and it was the best decision I've made, because it's sort of, my MO, I guess, is just kind of to go with the flow, which sounds very cheesy, but I have to be honest, it's really changed the way you look and do things. You look left and right rather than just tunnel vision, straightforward. So fast forward a little bit of time. But I moved back to London, worked for a sustainable fashion startup, and then realised I was working very hard for very little money on someone else's dream, and decided that I'd rather do that for myself. So I moved into sort of the freelance space, all in food, and it's been a really interesting challenge to start a business, because it's sort of, I have these two parts in me, which on the one hand you go with the flow, and on the other hand I went to business school and my dad is all about planning. So you have to think about money. I hadn't actually written a business model, and I still really haven't written a business plan to date. The business has been going officially for a year, just over a year, which my business school would probably not be very happy with. Yeah, exactly. But the truth is, I have been going to events like Google Campus and meeting people all over the shop, building relationships, and I have been, I guess luck is maybe not the right word, because you kind of build your own luck in a sense, but I won a couple of awards a year and a half ago. That gave me some money, gave me some confidence. I basically ran out of money at one point, sort of personally. The business had a bit of money, but personally I hadn't anything, because I wasn't really thinking about this properly, and it was just going with the flow. Fortunately, I have very supportive parents, and they have helped in this process a little bit. But then I won another award and won more money, which is about to come in. We finally signed all the documents. That's very exciting. And I'm paying myself now. So I'm conflicted. On the one hand, I feel like we have to accept that money exists, and it is, our communities and our lives are built on it. On the other hand, you really have to listen to your gut and let it guide you, whether you have money or not. I guess I'll leave it at that, because I'm conscious of time, but that's my money story.
Thank you. Really interesting. Got lots more questions for you. Just like logging them in there. Mariko, take it away.
Yeah, so interesting. It's really interesting. So my personal story is that I'm German and Japanese. So my father's German, my mother's Japanese. They were both born just after the World War, and they grew up really poor. My father had a really good, very exciting corporate career as a banker, and I was born in Tokyo. So when I was born, we were living this expat life, very privileged, traveled around the world, lived in different places, lived in Hong Kong, and then eventually my father lost his job, and he really just collapsed. Everything collapsed. And we moved back to Germany, where he's from, and lived off kind of social welfare, basically, really crashed from pretty much the top, what it felt like, and then all the way down. And that was when I was around 16 years old. And so I would say that, so I was born in this family that was very creative in a way, and I had been creative up to then, and that really kind of, everything just collapsed, including my creativity. And looking back, I also know that I didn't get any pocket money, but I was really, I had lots of ideas, and I would just make stuff and then sell them, and I always had money, even as a 10-year-old. And so that crash, that kind of collapse in our family, it was such a traumatic event. It really then had an impact on our self-worth, like every single family member. And I then realized how much then, I graduated, I went on to university, I made a compromise between the arts and the business, kind of the more stable side of things, and studied arts management. I didn't have the courage to study art because it was too kind of daunting, and it wasn't, I was like, I have to survive, I have to support myself, I don't have anyone to support me. That was, kind of probably the subconscious way of thinking about it. And so studied arts management, eventually ended up working in a branding agency, and then, went through this corporate career, but it never really took off. It never really, it never felt like it was thing for me, and to a point that I got really depressed, and then at some point I just had to kind of push myself off the ledge, came to London, studied arts management again, and then the universe kind of conspired, and I started my own business. And it's been quite an interesting journey, because money has always quite, since my teenage years, it felt very elusive. It felt like it would come and then it would leave again. It never stayed. And at this point now, I'm realizing how it is so connected with your self-worth. It's energy. It's a thing. It's a thing that you can work. It's energy that you work with, and the more you're able to say, this is what I'm worth, the more it's kind of sticking. It stays. So for example, I can see, I started my business with literally nothing. I had no savings. So I give myself credit for being able to build something on top of nothing. So I can do that. But then, it would come, it would go. And looking from the outside, it all looks really, it looks good, actually. It looks like you're successful, you're doing stuff, I'm traveling places. But on the inside, it just felt like it's so fragile. And so now what I'm doing is I'm really looking at these, I'm going back to my childhood. I'm looking at these patterns that I took on, these habits, or the way of thinking about myself. I'm looking at that now and trying to heal that and say, I am worth all of it. It's all good. And the interesting thing about that is that I think I was trying to get external validation a lot, and I also enjoy spending money or doing things, but now I kind of pause and look at, well, do I really need this? Is this really for myself, or is it for my outside image of myself? Is there some kind of dark hole that I'm trying to fill that I don't, there's no hole, if I just find happiness and kind of, peace within myself, then I just stop spending money. So the money that's actually coming in, it just stays. So I'm at that point right now. It's really interesting, and I think that there's still a lot, there's still a long journey to go. But yeah, I think that money, I don't want to say it's an illusion, but it's definitely something that is not, it's not a very tangible thing, and it is connected to how you are with yourself, where you are at. So yeah.
I agree, 100%.
Well.
Definitely. Very good. I'm just bringing up my questions. I'm not just messaging someone. Okay, so let's kind of do quick fire question round. One person take each question. I've got 5 of them, 6 of them. And then we'll open it up to the audience. I've got there's a whole program, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get through it all with the time. So how do you know your worth, and how do you pitch your prices? Maybe somebody who's in the freelance realm can jump in on that one.
I got my little list. So yeah, I brought a little note, which is really interesting. Years ago, I was working for the incubator at City University, and I had a mentor there. And so I have this little note here. I asked him how, because I was starting out with my business at the time. Basically, I was freelancing, and I said, how do I calculate my day rate? And so he gave me this really, really good advice, I think, that I'm still using today, which is based on a salary calculation, and then you break it down. So if you're interested, I'll just give you that breakdown. It is really good. It's really good. So basically, you take a salary that you would get in a similar position in the industry that you're in. So let's say that's, I don't know, just for calculation, let's say it's £50,000 a year. And then you add business costs, so overheads that you would have as a freelance. So, you know, your rent, your laptop, your whatever you have, any kind of bills you have to pay that are not transferable to the client. So let's say that's £5,000 a year, and that's also your competitive edge towards big agencies because they have much higher overheads, so they're more expensive because of that. Then the year has 52 weeks, and then 5 days a week. So you calculate 52 weeks times 5. That's the number of days in the year that you should be working. So you don't want to be working on weekends, right? So that's 260 days. I hope you know. Yeah, like we're doing the calculation like properly, so that you're not a freelance that has to kind of kill herself. Exactly. So that's 260 days, and then minus 10 days public holidays that you hopefully will be taking off as well. Minus, say, 30 days that you won't be working, be it holiday, be it days you're ill, whatever. That leaves you with 220 days. And I'm going through this really quickly.
I'm going to put all this in a blog
Yeah,
post
I can put it up.
afterwards,
It's really good.
Okay.
Then of these 220 days that you've got left, you have about 50 to 60% that are billable. That means that you will be doing marketing, you'll be updating your website, you'll be doing admin stuff. On those days, you're not working. You're not able to work for clients. So you'll have, so let's say 60% billable days as a freelance. And so that leaves you with 132 days. Then you divide we said £50,000 plus £5,000 overheads, which makes it £55,000 that you want to make in a year, right? So you divide that by the 132 days, and that'll give you a day rate. A day rate, which I didn't write down how much that. It's like £417. And then if you are then charging hourly, you don't divide it by 8 the day, but you divide it by 6 because you have to kind of factor in inefficiencies. And then you'll have a number which would be £70 an hour. And so I think this is really, really helpful because it just kind of, it's a solid calculation. And then also if you then, say, have a client who says, can you just package up this project for me, you can then use that day rate calculation and say, okay, I'll probably need 5 days to do this project. And then you just use that as part of your calculation. And what I found is that if I didn't have that, I would probably charge not enough, always. And with that, it's like, okay, right, that's kind of a good number. And then you can always say, okay, I'm working for a big corporate, add a bit more. I'm working for a friend, give them a mate rate, whatever. But it'll give you a good number that you can at least work with.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really
I always find that when I'm telling people how long something's going to take, if it's 5 days, it's always 7. If it's 7, there's always extra days. And I always say, no, I'll do this project really, really quickly.
Yeah,
but
it never works.
It never works. And it's just like, I don't understand why I won't get honest with myself about like actually how long. Because then you think, well, I can't charge them that much because then it looks more expensive. But you're doing that work. It's all really, really valid. So thank you for that. And I will do a blog post about that, and that'll we'll get it down. We'll get it off the tiny piece of paper and into some format. How do you money plan? Who wants to take that one? Money plan money plan was just a sort of overarching word that I found to describe.
Right, this is business head. So this is probably it sort of goes against what everything that I've said personally and what everyone else has said. So it's budgets, it's forecasts. You can do them yourself. So if you're starting out on a business, most banks and most financial situations will require you to do a business plan. That business plan is the focus of what your financials are. So it's learning about money planning. What it does is gives you an option, and it's not set in stone. So you wake up one morning, you've got this great business idea, you start working on your business plan, and in it is financial information. That's your money planning. You've got to think of every eventuality, and unfortunately it's a long process, but that eventual document is a little bit like your pride and joy. It's your baby. That's where everything started. We do something at work called a one-page plan, which is where we get successful businesses who are going on to the next stage, and we put that business plan on a one-page sheet that we have framed and actually sits in the bedroom of most of the clients that we use, or the office. Because when they get to work or they get up in the morning, that's what they see. It is a little bit what you work your business with. So plan is what if, have every eventuality, take professional advice. You come up with the initial advice yourself and then go and see somebody. Accountant's great. But plan. Plan also have your money, as in the money you've got coming in, so what you need to live your life. Have money that you have to spend out for your bills, personal and business, and then have the money that you need for your fun. Nobody can work 24 hours a day. Nobody can have no life whatsoever. And even if you say, well, I'm just going to sit in and watch the telly, you've still got to have probably the internet, and you've still got to have Netflix or whatever it may be. But be realistic. So when you do your money plan, be realistic. Don't leave yourself with nothing. We're girls, we need shoes. It doesn't matter, and if you live to that budget, it will help. But remember, it is fluid, so it's not set in stone. Goalposts change, ideas change.
Great, amazing. I'm so glad we're getting this recorded this time, because there's so many great nuggets of information coming out. Big one here. How do you think emotion relates to money?
Yeah.
Sometimes I find that I can feel rich with nothing, and then I can have money and just.
This is
feel
what
money.
I think has been quite funny. I don't mean to take.
No,
I'm sure everyone has something to say, but by running a business, you have to take risks, and you have to pretend like you have money, and that comes with putting on the hat and the persona and the characters of I have money to spend. You have to sell yourself. You have to look big. You know, some people, I remember when I worked for Cho, the chocolate company in San Francisco, you know, people thought we had a customer service and sales team of like 50 people, and really there were like 2 of us. So you really have to present yourself as something. It's not that you're not, because you are obviously that person and you're going to be that person, but it's often tricky. And I recently went to an event with Mel, who was the founder of the Zero Waste Market, just before Christmas. I don't know if anyone was there, but she kind of described it as putting on, you have to acknowledge who you are. And for example, when I'm at Borough, I have to become a proper salesperson. So I imagine that I am that person, and I put on the clothes, and I'm loud, I'm chatty, and I engage with people, and I try. You become a salesperson. I think it's similarly with money. You have to just put on that hat of I have the money, and the emotions of the worry and the stress of what if I don't have enough for this or that or the other. You kind of have to set that aside, and then when you're not wearing your business hat, you're not worrying about that. You put on your sort of emotional hat. I know that it can get in the way of relationships with parents and with siblings and with significant others, but I think the error we make, or this is personal, so the error that maybe I make, is pretending that it's not an issue and like really not thinking about it. Like we live in a society that requires money to sort of function in most ways, and I think denying that is sort of, it will prevent us from, we feel guilty as a result of that. You know, we feel guilty for not acknowledging money. Acknowledge it, accept it, it's a fact of life, and then get on with it, you know, put on that big hat.
And that's where the money blocks are as well. Like you can have emotional money blocks, and I only started realizing them now. So just by watching the way you think about money, or the way you judge people with money or without money, and that's something to follow. That'll be a clue for you where something definitely is that you need to crack. And I agree, like the emotional part about money is 2 years ago I had a really bad year. And it started with a huge client. It was like amazing project, but the client didn't pay for ages, I think for 6 months or so. But as a small business, it could just kill you. But in that time, I was dragged down by that so much emotionally that I didn't win any clients at all, zero, nothing. And it just spiraled down. And then, and it's something where, like what you said, you know, you still need to though live. So I wasn't allowing myself to live despite of all of that, and it comes with, you know, shame comes with that you're like, oh, I'm horrible at, you know, at business because I'm poor and this is not working and I should just not do this. But then once I managed to step out of that mindset, things worked out again. So it is, I think it's really closely connected. So people can kind of sense it if you're uncomfortable or, you know, or shameful of yourself, or, you know, why would they do business with you if they feel like you can't?
There's
you
the
yourself
you
can't
use around it as well.
Can I just add to that as well? Sorry, I wrote this down, so I'm just going to read it. I've put down here, money doesn't actually relate to happiness. Now, the idea of perception, believe it or not, if you have a limited company over a sole trader, you're seen to be more successful. So that sort of proves, and that's in the business world.
I think you've made it official. You have a limited company.
And other companies will look at you in a more professional light. It's really strange, and I don't know why it is, but unfortunately, that's one of the facts. And the other one is actually jealousy. So money makes a successful business. It's not true. Do you know Body Shop started with £300? That's all. It's actually dollars, $300, and that was how she started that empire. And it's just global name. Her whole story is on the website. And the other thing is, it's completely away from work, Facebook. Right? Facebook makes you look happy and successful. Well, I've got a friend who posts every single day what she's doing, how she's living her life with her gorgeous husband. Right? If you're that happy, why are you posting it? The one last Sunday, in bed with my gorgeous husband. Why are you on Facebook? Okay. That's my point. Perception is just, and no, it doesn't make you happy.
Very true. Very good. Debt. How have you taken action? Dun, dun, dun.
Now go on, let someone else speak.
Well, you did.
Yeah,
you got mortgage.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Bye.
She's off to the Isle of Wight.
The debt thing, it wasn't debt so much, it was the whole thing with the mortgage. It was a real shock to the system of actually realising that where you've gone through your life, you were quite successful, and then finding out actually you can't do something deemed simple as get a mortgage. The way I turned it round was I got really good advice. I went to see somebody, I talked, I did what women are meant to be good at, I went and got information, and actually we found somebody who was absolutely brilliant, and he solved the problem for me. But in general debt situations, and the way we work at work, is don't bury your head in the sand. If you have debt, don't ignore it. As a human race, we're naturally geared towards it'll go away. Tomorrow will be another day. We always say to clients, if you're having sleepless nights over money worries, you've got a problem, but you need to talk about it. It needs to be sorted, because nobody has a sleepless night over nothing. It's obviously something that's playing on your mind. So don't bury your head in the sand. More or less every situation can be dealt with. From a business point of view, when you're starting out in business, especially in the creative world, there are avenues you can go down that will help you with finances. I know from spending a lot of time with people with small businesses, the creative world causes financial issues because it costs money to produce whatever you're making or creating. The big stockists want horrendous business terms, and you end up completely out of pocket and probably completely broke. So there are financial things that you can put in place, not necessarily to use, but will actually give you sleep. Will give you that sleep that night. But don't bury your head in the sand. That is the one thing. Ask, talk, get information, and deal with it.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. There's so much. It's so easy to run away from problems, but when you confront them,
and it catches up with you as well. You can run away, and you think you've got over it and it's done, but it will catch up with you. There's all sorts of new rules and regulations that HMRC are bringing in now to stop. They're calling it fraud, but it's not. It's just where people get into trouble and then run away from the trouble rather than deal with it. They can now catch up with you, and it's not worth it because it leaves a mark.
And so, what sort of help is there out there for people who may be in a bit of debt?
If you're having, it depends what the debt is. Business debt is very different to personal debt. So personal debt, the debt management plans, the companies, I think it's called Step Change. They are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. They really don't judge you. And what they do is, if things are really, really bad, you can't meet your monthly payments, you've maxed out every credit card, and you're living the life of robbing Peter to pay Paul and not doing very well at it. Peter and Paul still aren't getting paid. Go and look at Step Change or one of the companies like it. They're government based, so they really do look after you. What they do is they create a budget for you that's within your means. They give you money to live on as well. So they're not saying, I want every penny of your income. They work out everything down to, they actually ask you, a very weird question, if you smoke. And if you smoke, they don't deem that as terrible. They give you an allowance, like, well, how many cigarettes do you smoke? How much is it going to cost you a week? They're not even saying to you, well, you should be smoking if you've got debt. It's not like that. They're really, really kind and they look after you. Just take advice if they ask you to go down the next route, which is the voluntary bankruptcy, because that can leave a print. Normal debt stays on your credit for about 6 years. So you wouldn't be able, if you, in a personal situation, you wouldn't be able to go for things like mortgages and stuff if you had one of those voluntary systems on your credit file. So it does affect your credit, but it will get you out of the situation. And most of those plans run for between 4 and 6, 7 years, depending on the level of debt. You can actually take them over a longer period. I know someone who's got one over 12 years because the debt level was about 28,000.
So there's options out there.
Yeah, that's a personal work. I'll talk about later.
So going on the riding on the advice wave, isn't it funny? Can anyone feel the energy change in here when we're talking about hard money? Like it's so different, isn't it? Something really interesting that I think we should just be mindful of. Like, how can we flip that and project better energy onto it? So let's all give one piece of, well, if you can all give me one piece of advice you wish you could have given your younger self about money.
You go. Okay. I guess I have maybe two, one personal, one business. I think, although they can easily be applied to both, but on the personal level, and it's sort of similar to something you said earlier, but obstacles, we are our biggest obstacle, like our heads. You know, money you can overcome, doing things, traveling or buying this or you know, building a relationship with someone or getting a job, whatever. We can all do these things. We all have a brain, we all, you know, we have determination, but our heads are our biggest obstacles. And I think as soon as we acknowledge that and accept that, we realise we can also be our most incredible toolkits to, you know, figure things out and get on with it. And I guess from a business perspective, it's something my dad said, and I guess he's right, and in retrospect he's definitely right, and I know I'm not spending enough time doing this, but I think if you're running a business, or you think you're running a business, every day you should apply yourself to think of how you can make money that day. It doesn't mean you're going to earn that money that day, but you have to at least try to. So for me, for example, it's selling. So I make a juice pop granola. It's delicious. It's nutritious. It's really different. It's got an awesome USP, but I don't sell it enough. And I want to get into all these shops, but you have to do the selling to get there, and you have to overcome your own fears of, oh, it's not good enough. People are going to reject me, whatever. No, it doesn't matter. You want to make business. You want to make money to make it sustainable for you and the business to keep growing. So you have to sell, for me at least, for the business that I've got. So that would be my biggest, I guess, my 2 pieces of advice.
I think you're doing really well. Thanks. And Yanna?
Yeah, I really agree with what has already been said. I'll just believe that in terms of just trusting the process and doing what we as much as possible in every given moment, and just not. I think the most important is what Marika was talking about as well, is not allowing ourselves to feel internally down because of external situations, and I think something that I've adopted already is years ago is living as if I already have everything that I want, and that really creates a whole different reality in our minds. So that's something that stuck with me. My friend always laughs at me, like she's been seeing me for years, and she's like, "You're always so well put together, like no one can say," and it's fine, and that's really affects a lot the way we feel. So as Cher said, be the rich man that your mom wants for you.
I'm just hoping to go and use that later.
Yeah, because her mom told her, when are you going to marry a rich man? And she said, "Mom, I'm going to be a rich man." I am the
Don't
rich
worry,
man.
I'm going to be a rich man.
I am the rich man,
Yeah, I love that one. Well, we've just got a few minutes left, so I thought we'd do like a little exercise to get you in your own, or to help you get out of your own money stories. So we're just going to spend literally like 1 minute each person. So everyone create a partners to your right, so turn to your right and see who you've got. Okay. I'm going to time 1 minute, and these are the points I want you to cover. So the person with the longest hair is going to talk first. Opening the conversation around money, and with all of the women in this room, hopefully you'll join this Facebook group and you'll be able to carry on that conversation, and don't be scared to talk about rates. You can absolutely do it privately, but if you want to be open about that kind of thing, you can be as well. So I've created a little worksheet which is on my website. Again, I'll send it to you after the event. So when you signed in, if you've ticked the box, it means that you'll get all of this stuff and this stuff and this stuff. So that's also just to dig a little bit deeper into this exercise that we've done now, and it's going to help you to rewrite your money story. And to end, I've just written a few money. Well, I haven't written it. I can't take credit. It's a lady called Marie Forleo who. Do you know her?
My mum loves her.
Yeah, she's great. Marie TV. She's a female empowerment and business coach. She's great, and these are her money mindset hacks that I took from a video that she did. So yeah, with that, that is the end of the show. Thank you, like 1,000 thank yous to all of these women that have taken time out of their day to come here and to talk to you and hopefully impart some of their knowledge. I've got, that's that, I'll go back to that in a minute, but make sure you take a picture of this. It's got everyone's links up there, so you can contact them on social. I want to know, when are you doing your next Afro belly dance class? We all want to know.
That's amazing.
No pressure.
Yeah.
So currently I'm actually looking for a new space to do
Looking
it.
for a new
So
space. Would this space work?
potentially,
Okay.
this space could work great. Yeah, I'm based in Hackney, so it could be really nice. So Afro belly dance is a combination of Afrobeat and belly dance. Just FYI. So come and shake your bum bums and
Yeah. Oh, if you need a photographer for an event. Or,
that too.
or
That
a
too.
poem for a loved one.
Thank you for having, and thank you for Emma. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
And if you would like to sample some of Chloe's granola, she's actually delivering it today to the Zero Waste shop, which is run by Megan next door. So if you want to stick around for that, and Paula's going to stick around for chats with anyone if they want any help with accountancy or business planning. So,
If anyone wants to join the channel.
of course, do you want to come up and say a few words? Yeah. we have we've got an awesome lady.
Yeah,
with us
we met
today.
by a WhatsApp group
Yeah.
just this week. On a WhatsApp group.
And I was like, oh, it was a bit too late to get you involved on the whole panel and everything. But yeah, please take the floor.
Oh,
Quickly.
bless you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to share, I'm doing a 5-day challenge on the 15th of April. So I do mindset and confidence coaching, and I'm a business strategist as well. And a lot of my clients struggle to get with sales, that's a big one, and to get the income that they want because they've got a lot of money blocks, funny enough, we're having this conversation today. So I decided to do a 5-day challenge, April the 15th. It's on Facebook, so it's in a closed group, and I'm going to be doing daily tasks to help you change your mindset around sales, making money, keeping money, because yes, self-worth and money is highly related. So I find that a lot of clients that I have that struggle, it's because self-worth is a problem. So yes, I'm giving hints, tips and strategies on how to change that and break through and to step into your power. So if you'd like to join me, catch me, I'll give you my card and I'll send you the link so you can join me. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. So if you don't catch an hour, I'll also put this in the blog post. But yeah, you'll be around for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. I don't know what slide's next. Join us for the next one. So yeah, the next one, Mariko, where's she gone? She does personal branding. So this is good. Yeah, it's going to be all about personal branding. We may do a bit more of a workshop sort of format. So if you want to join us for that one, it's hopefully going to be on this date. We'll confirm everything in due course. Have we got any questions? Or do we want some food?
Can we?
Yeah? Okay. Food,
That's what it
network.
goes.
Thank you.